Alright, here we go. It's that time of the year again where we go on to predict the entire NFL season for 2022. And now, unlike last year, I will not be doing weekly predictions. I just feel like that just made me forced to make a video every week. Kind of just, that was like my only content, as if I was ever going to make content. But nevertheless, this will be kind of my set in stone predictions. And plus, who knows, I might even make an MLB playoff predictions like I did last year. But this right here is the NFL 2022 predictions. Now, rather going by each week, I think I'm just going to go by the teams. And I'm just going to pick at random. Actually, might go by kind of divisions here. We'll start with, we'll go north, south, east, west. And we'll start with AFC. So AFC North, we'll start off with the Ravens here. I actually do think that the Ravens will win this division here. Let's see how. I think they'll easily start off with a Jets win. Now, I'm thinking I'm going to go pretty quickly here so this video is not super long. A win to the Dolphins, a loss to the Patriots, a loss to the Bills, beating the Bengals at home, beating the Giants, beating the Browns, losing to the Buccaneers, barely beating the Saints, beating the Panthers, beating the Jaguars, beating the Broncos, losing the Steelers. Deshaun Watson will be back here by then. I think Browns won't have enough, and Ravens will win that one, beat the Falcons and the Steelers, but then lose to the Bengals in the final week for a 12-5 for the Ravens. Now, how the Bengals square up? Well, I think that they'll take a win to the Steelers and lose in Dallas, but then take back-to-back wins, Jets and Dolphins, take a loss in the Superdome, take a win against the Falcons, take a win against the Browns and the Panthers, but then lose in Pittsburgh, but then they will still keep owning the Titans. Then a revenge loss from the Chiefs and sweeping the Browns, but then I want to say back-to-back losses to Brady's teams, but then a win in Buffalo for 10-7. Now, the Steelers are kind of weird. I just think they're mediocre. Some people are saying that they might be wild card teams. I'm just not seeing the appeal. I think that, including to these previous games, they will take a win to New England and then a loss to the Browns. And then I think they'll take a win to the Jets and then lose to the Bills and Bucs and Dolphins. Battle of Pennsylvania, Eagles win that one. But hey, I think they'll beat the Saints, but then lose to the Colts, but then they'll beat the Falcons, lose to the Panthers and Raiders, but then take a sweep from the Browns. 7-10. Now the Browns are not completely out of it, even without having Deshaun for 11 games. Let's see how this squares up, but it could get ugly. I think they're going to lose to the Panthers with new quarterback Baker Mayfield, but then they'll take a win to the Jets and Falcons, but then take losses to the Chargers and Patriots, and it just keeps getting worse for them, taking losses to the Dolphins, Bills, and Buccaneers, but then Deshaun comes back, gets revenge on his old team, takes a loss to the Saints, and I think they might have it what's in them for a win against the Commanders. Now, I don't think it'll be this bad for them, I don't think. You know what? Panthers might be on and off, but I feel like the Browns just... I feel like even with Deshaun Watson, I don't know if they'll have enough in them. I could be severely underrating them here. This is also a tough schedule, so yeah, maybe I went to the page. No, this is, I'm gonna set in stone here. This could be controversial, but I don't know. Now the South, the Colts, I think, are my new division winners for this team. Let's see, taking a win to the Texans. Now this is in Jacksonville. We know how this went. I'm going to say they get over that and win in Duval County. Then they'll take a loss to the Chiefs, but then win to the Titans. And then there's the horse match. I think that the Broncos will win that one, but then they sweep the Jaguars and then split with the Titans and then take a win to the Commanders and Patriots, but then lose to the Raiders, but then come back and win to the Eagles. Then they'll barely lose to the Cowboys. It could be interesting with Jonathan Taylor and Cowboys runs defense, but that could be an interesting game. And then we have the Vikings. I think they'll barely take the loss there, but then they'll go win 3 in a row to the Chargers, Giants, and Texans for 11-6. And now we got the Titans, who I feel like they're kind of the same, but I feel like they're going to drop down a little bit here. Let's see how that works out for them. I think they'll win week 1 against the Giants here and then take a loss to the Bills, but then come back and win against the Raiders. And after losing to the Colts, they'll come back and win against the Commanders and then win on to the Texans, but then lose to the Chiefs and beat the Broncos. But then they'll take a loss to the Packers. And it could be a little bit rocky here because then they'll have lost 3 in a row with the Eagles game. And then they'll beat the Jaguars, but then lose to the Chargers. But then they'll win their last 3, just like the Colts, Texans, Cowboys, and Jaguars for 10-7. Speaking of Jaguars and Texans, these teams are just messes right now. I don't think the Jaguars are going to get anything done. They're going to lose to Commanders, to the Chargers, the Eagles, but they'll win against the Texans. I say they barely pull it off against the Giants. Take losses to the Broncos, Raiders, Chiefs, Lions, Cowboys, even the Jets, and even split with the Texans for 2-15. But hey, they're not going to be the worst. The Texans are a nightmare. Broncos, goodbye. Bears, not happening. Chargers, no way. Raiders, Eagles, Giants, maybe the Commanders. I don't think so, though. Dolphins, Cowboys, Chiefs, they're just 1-16 for the Texans, honestly. They're even more of a train wreck. AFC East seems like this is going to be the Bills' destiny. Let's see what happens. I think that the season opener, even with the stuff that's happening with Matt Stafford, I think the Rams are still going to get it done. So I'm going to give it that. This could be a big surprise. They're going to go to Miami, and I think they're going to win. And then they'll be 4-1 here, but then the Chiefs come in. They're going to go in Arrowhead and lose again. I think this might be a big one. I think they'll beat the Packers, and then they're going to keep winning even more with wins to the Jets and the Vikings and the Lions. And I think the train will stop in New England. I think they'll split with the Patriots here. We'll just put that there. And the Jets, Dolphins, and Bears are wins. So 13-4, I think, is solid for Buffalo. I've been kind of on and off with the Patriots. I feel like they went downhill a little bit more. I feel like they're still kind of the same, and I feel like they maybe slightly improved their offense. So let's see how this works out. But week 1 in Miami is not going to help them one bit. I think the Dolphins will win that. And the Packers will win in Lambeau, but then these are 3 straight wins, or technically 4. Lions, Browns, Bears, and then Jets. And then they'll sweep the Jets, but then they'll take this loss to the Vikings and Cardinals and Raiders. And then take the split with Miami. 9-8 seems about right. Dolphins are a tricky team to figure out. I feel like they have the potential to be like a wild card team, but I think they're just barely, and I mean barely, missing out on it. So they'll take a win to the Jets and the Vikings, and they're gonna have an amazing start to the season. But then you have teams like the 49ers and the Chargers and the Packers. 9-8, just right there. I've heard some things about how the Dolphins always beat the Packers, but I don't see it here. I also see the Dolphins at 9-8, just barely. Actually, you know what? Give it to the Dolphins. I'm at 10-7. It might not be a wild card spot. Who knows? And the Jets, yeah. Packers, Broncos are losses there. But hey, they'll take a win to the Bears, not the Vikings. Hey, we'll give them a win to the Lions. And even the Seahawks, 4-13. And now the last division, probably the trickiest division of the entire AFC. The West. This is controversial, even though the Chiefs don't have Tyreek Hill. They're still the Chiefs. They're still a really good team. I still have them winning this division. Let's see how. I think they'll have to make a big Week 1 win to the Cardinals, and even take a win to the Chargers. But then got the Buccaneers, which I think the Bucs will win that one. And then even got the Raiders there. And I think the 49ers will make a sneaky surprise win in that one as well. And I think they'll take a loss to the Chargers, but beat the Rams. And I think I've been on and off whether they sweep the Broncos or split with them. I'm thinking that they'll split with them. Same with the Raiders, and take that win to the Seahawks, 12-5. And now the rest of their opponents, let's go to the Chargers. I think they'll take a win to the Raiders week 1. That should be a good game. And then the Broncos and Seahawks are wins as well. Same with the Falcons, but I think they'll take a 49ers loss. 49ers are hard to beat at home. And they'll even take a loss to the Cardinals. Can't completely deny the Cardinals here. And then split with the Raiders. And I think they'll lose. This is technically a home game for the Rams. I think they'll win that one and split the Broncos for 10. Well, actually, I think they'll win against Rams. That could be a surprising game. 11-6 for the Chargers. And now the Raiders take the win to the Cardinals. The Broncos here. I think they'll lose in New Orleans, though. Split with the Broncos and take the win to the Seahawks, but then lose to the Rams. And I think they'll beat the 49ers for also 11-6. Broncos. I think the same story for the Dolphins. I think people are making them a little bit too overhyped. I think they're being a little bit overrated here. I don't think they're complete super playoff contenders just yet. Yes, the addition of Russell Wilson is good, but will it be good enough? And what do you know? Russell Wilson faces his old team, and they'll win that one. And then they got the 49ers. I think the Denver Broncos will win that one as well. And look at that. You got a Super Bowl 50 rematch. I want to say it's 50. I will be stupid if it's not. But I think that the Broncos will still win that outcome. And then you got the Cardinals and Rams. I think they'll beat the Cardinals but lose to the Rams. 11-6 could be a possibility. I see more 10-7 in them. A potential loss here could be the Colts or the Cardinals. I'm going to say that the Cardinals take a surprise win there. Who knows? Maybe that Chiefs sweep will happen. I see 10-7 in the Broncos, barely missing playoffs. So you got that playoff seeding there. Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, Colts, and then the wild card spots go to the Raiders, Chargers, and Bengals. And yeah, the Titans, Broncos, and Dolphins barely missing out is definitely in my possibility. That's just the way I see it. Now we go to the NFC side. This is where things get a bit more or less interesting. North, it should be no surprise that it is in the Packers' favor, although it won't be as dominant because of the lack of their receivers. So let's see if that works out. Because of that, I think they'll lose to the Vikings week 1, which could be a surprise. And I think Rodgers still owns the Bears. He got that one in the bag. But I think the Buccaneers will come in and win that one. And they should be able to beat the Giants, Commanders, Lions, even Cowboys scot-free. Maybe even the Eagles. And the Bears. It's a pretty light schedule for the Packers here. I think that the Rams will beat them, but then they'll split the Vikings, even sweep the Lions. 12-5 seems about right. And then we got the Vikings, who I think have the potential to make the wild card. It's the same situation as the Dolphins. It just depends on how everything plays out. I think they'll even lose to the Eagles week 2, but then beat the Lions, but then lose to the Saints and even beat the Bears. The Cardinals, this could be an interesting game as well. I'll give it to the Vikings, though. I think that the Commanders will make a surprise win there. I think the Cowboys will beat them. They've done for the last 2 years now. And then the Vikings will beat the Lions and then the Giants and even sweep the Bears for 10-7. That seems about right where I see them. The Lions won't be as bad as the past couple years. I think they'll make a potential to make a couple surprise wins, but where? I think they'll unfortunately take the loss to the Eagles week 1, make a surprise win to the Commanders, and even the Seahawks take a loss to the Cowboys. I think they'll split with the Bears there. Take the loss to the Giants and Panthers. 4-13, maybe 5 wins somewhere. I don't know where though. Could potentially be the Giants, but we'll have to find out where this team goes. And then the Bears are pretty bad this year. We got the 49ers, that's a loss. The Giants, that's a loss. I'd say they come in and sneak a win to the Commanders, take a loss to the Cowboys, even lose to the Falcons, and then lose to the Eagles for 3-14. And then we got the South. Buccaneers, still sort of a cakewalk, but who knows? I think they'll win the Sunday Nighter game against the Cowboys, but then take a loss in the Superdome and they should win scot-free to the other divisional opponents. And then you got the Rams. I think the Rams will end up winning that game. You got the Seahawks, that's a win there. And they'll split with the Saints. Even take a loss to the 49ers. Beat the Cardinals, barely. And yeah, the other divisional opponents. 14-3. This should be a pretty solidated win for the Bucs. Now the Saints are a different story. I think that they're a wild card team. I think they have the definite potential to, especially with an improved offense, and that defense is still crazy. So let's take a win to the Falcons and the Panthers. Like, they're gonna have the craziest start to a season. They might slow down their momentum a little bit, like with games such as the Cardinals and Rams and 49ers, which this is where it starts to get a little bit concerning for their season. Take back the win against the Falcons, and then the Eagles could be an interesting game there. And then the Panthers, 10-7, should give them a wild card spot. Speaking of the Panthers, I used to think that they were going to be like absolute garbage this year, but they have some slight potential after looking at it with Baker Mayfield. And if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy for once, their offense could be pretty good. It just depends on the defense as well. So there's going to be a loss to the Giants and the Cardinals and the 49ers and the Rams. It's just a hard schedule with them, and they'll even split with the Falcons. And I say they take a win to the Seahawks. So 5-12, honestly. There could be some more wins snuck in here. Maybe even this 49ers game. Actually, I will. That's an upset right there. 6-11. And speaking of the Falcons, they're just, I'd say they're the most bottom of the barrel team in the NFC this year. Take a loss to the Rams and the Seahawks and the 49ers, Commanders, and even Cardinals. 2-15. They're just not going to be good this year at all. Here comes the East. This is where a controversial line pulls through. Yes, there's the trend of a new winner every year. But some things have to stop, and I think this is where it stops. I think the Cowboys will win back-to-back NFC East championships. And let's see how. I think that they'll take a sweep to the Giants and the Commanders, which could be a pretty hot take. But here's the thing. Unlike last year, they'll split with the Eagles. And yes, they'll probably take a loss to the Rams here. And that's their season. I think they'll finish 12-5 again. But there's a couple more statement wins in there, such as the Bengals, the Vikings, the Colts. So, yeah. Now as for the Eagles, they are not going to be bad. They're going to be a solid contender. Although, I think they'll take a split with Washington, but then they'll beat the Cardinals here, and just like the Cowboys, sweep the Giants. And they are not going 13-4. See, this is where I did not want to do the week by week, because then I'd have to go back to previous weeks, because there'd be like a team that's 8-0 when they really shouldn't be. I think 13-4 is way much of a stretch for Philly. So I think that the Cardinals will actually take a win, because I had the thought of, I'll get to the Cardinals later. And I think this is going to be like an absolute run fest. This could be an absolute run fest for the Eagles and Titans. And if it is going to come down to run fest, I take King Henry. So that gives the Titans the advantage in the AFC South. Although I did say that I was giving the advantage to the Colts for the AFC South. So the Titans could find a loss here somewhere. And that loss could very well be Dallas. Or, can't count Philly. Could be the Raiders as well. Could be Washington. We just don't know. I'll give the slight advantage here to the Raiders. Just because they could have solid season somewhere. They could take this loss to the Cardinals or any other team. Maybe even the Patriots. or the Steelers. You know what? Yeah, the Steelers. So there we go. We got everything reorganized here for the sake of the Eagles' despair. I'm just that guy. Anyways, the Commanders are going to be another mediocre team. They could make some surprising wins, splitting with the Giants, but then losing to the 49ers 6-11. What's the Giants' last game here? A loss to the Seahawks. And we got one more. The West that it isn't as wild as the AFC West, because the Rams will come back and take another divisional win. But here's the thing. They will take some losses here. They won't have much of a strong record as they did initially, just for the fact that Stafford might be a bit iffy. Who knows? So they'll split with both Cardinals and 49ers, but we'll take a sweep to the Seahawks for 13-4. Now the 49ers, I was planning on them being a bit better, but I don't know. It's Trey Lance, so it's kind of the same boat as the Eagles. How is Trey Lance going to do? How is Jalen Hurts going to do? So I think that they're going to split with Seattle here and the Cardinals. I almost called them St. Louis. 11-6 is possible. I see another loss or so being dropped here. Like, they could get swept by the Rams. Maybe the Bears just come out of nowhere, because that stuff happens. Chargers, maybe. Maybe the Buccaneers. Maybe the Commanders. I do have them 8-0 at home, or 9-0 at home. That is possible, but I don't know. I'm not saying that the 49ers will go downhill. I just think that they do have a solid defense. They do have a solid offense. I might leave it here as is, but who knows? The Commanders are a weird team. They just come out of nowhere occasionally. Now the Cardinals, I did initially think that they would go downhill, but apparently they're still a solid team that shouldn't be completely think down upon. They're still solid enough to get things done. But gave me a split with the Seahawks for also 10-7, and the Seahawks are 4-13, which is pretty yeah, that seems about right. So look at that NFC playoff. Now that's a problem. I did say the Saints were a wild card team, so just for the sake of the prediction, I'll take the Saints winning there. Yeah, I think the Saints do have a potential for 11-6 if they just get everything working right and nobody gets suspended or hurt. So let's move on. We'll do the full-on playoff predictions as well. The Raiders go on to face the Colts. I think that the Colts have the potential, and I think they will. Another first-round exit for the Raiders. Chargers go against the Ravens. I'll take the Chargers. That could be an interesting one as well. And then the Bengals against Chiefs again. Okay, will it be the same outcome? I don't think so. It's very hard for a team to return to the Super Bowl, and this might be the Bengals' demise. Here comes the incoming jokes. But I think the Cowboys, since 2019, win a playoff game again. Saints taking on the Packers. If this was in the Superdome, things would be more different. But it's Lambeau. So, unfortunately, Packers win that game. And now we got the 49ers versus Rams again. Honestly, the Rams will take that win. Now we move on to divisional. The AFC Championship game will be Chiefs versus Bills. NFC, Rams versus Buccaneers. Going to the Super Bowl, Bills versus Buccaneers. Your Super Bowl winner, Buffalo. And that will be